I get the stitches out. You know, we've had this liquid acid for God knows how long. Me and Lee are like, let's just do little droplets. Now, I've been practicing with the CBD oil because the thing's expensive, so you can't just fucking take it like a savage. So it says 7 drops, and you start counting the drops, you know. So if he tells me to take 7, I'm 300 pounds, I take 10.
For the CBD, not for the
liquid
CBD
acid. No. So then we bumped into the guy at the Chinese restaurant.
Yeah.
And one thing leads to another. And me and Lee are discussing this shit, and I take the 1 dropper out. And again, I tap this thing down to the least minimal, and I give 1 to myself. And then I give 1 to Lee. Now, the one I gave to Lee was so small, but Lee moved, and it hit his lip. So that counted as like a hat. Not even. I did, I know what I looked at. In fact, if you ask Lee, I did it a couple times to see what a full drop was. And then I did it again, and I just played with it a little bit.
You didn't tell me that's what you were doing, but
I tried to get the least amount in there for us just to try it out. Lee's never done it before. I haven't done it in years. We did the blot of that one time, but I don't believe in excess the first time. And we saw the gentleman, and he told us not to fuck around. So this time I go, Lee, ready for another one? Lee does a little one again. Again, I dabble with it. Boop, I get a little one in there. I don't know if we did one right away or we waited a little while. I broke your balls. And then we did one. Okay, boom. We do the 3 little dabbles. Somewhere along the line, I felt a little nausea, and I felt like my body shivering and stuff. But at one point in the podcast, I blew smoke out of a bong, and I saw how Lee looked at the smoke for a minute, and I'm like, oh, fuck. We're going to have a problem here. So I thought the acid was going to kick in for me really good. The podcast ended. The guest left. Lee and I stayed here for another 35, 40 minutes talking. And I tell you what, the acid rattled my cage a little bit, but it wasn't like the 80s where I had to go home and drink orange juice and hide and put earphones on, and you have the sudden urge to take a shower and scrub your toes and all this shit.
Because to clarify, we did the first one before, and we didn't do the second one until after.
Okay, so I knew...
Because...
we did 3 of them, right?
I only did 2.
Okay, I thought we did 3 half drops, like real small drops.
Maybe you did for me, but I thought I only did 2.
Okay, so that was it. Lee and I have a conversation. I walk home. On the walk home, I feel weird. You know, when you take acid, and once it's mixed with your heart and you start moving, now it's a different story. You might kick up the speed from you moving. The adrenaline kicks up the acid. Okay. And all of a sudden you're tripping. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh boy, I better start breathing out of my nose. Thank God they took the stitches out. And I'm breathing out of my nose. And finally, guess what, guys? Nothing happened. I go upstairs. I do my usual. I wash my hands. I take a piss. I wash my hands. I say hello to Demi. He's in the living room. I put the TV on. I get some water. I get the pipe, I get the lighter, I go outside, and when I finish fucking smoking a pipe right there, I'm like, I'm fucking starving. And I go in the thing, but there's more to the story. I'm sitting here afterward at the 40-minute mark, and I just have to go home. I'm tired. I got to babysit Mercy at 9, and all of a sudden Lee goes, boy, are you hot? First off, I see him get up by himself, and he turns off the red and blue lights in the studio. So I'm watching all this, and I'm like, this kid's fucked up. But I'm not fucked up. So I took the same amount as Lee. I think Lee took a little less than me because 1 drop fell on his thing, and I go, Lee, put it back on your tongue. So whatever. I'm not accusing you of anything, Lee. I'm just saying that at that point I felt guilty because I'm like, when is this going to kick in? All right, Lee has done 2 things so far that showed me that he could be seeing something. When he looked at the smoke and when he asked me if it was hot in here. That's never a good sign when somebody asks you if it's hot in here. So I open the door, and then he says to me, boy, it's so hot in here, I got to take my shoes off. Not only does he take his fucking shoes off, but he takes his socks off like it's the 60s in here. And he's like, boy, I feel better. Once your feet are hot, that means you're tripping. But again, I'm sitting here, guys, and to my fucking God is my witness, I'm not fucking feeling nothing. I'm feeling the reefer. Did we eat any stars? No. We had no fucking stars. That's why we took the acid.
We smoked a lot of bong hits.
We smoked a lot of fucking bong hits. Speaking of which, it's time for another bong hit.
Oh, Jesus.
It's your birthday bong hit. So, I didn't think nothing of it. I go, he can't be this fucking high. Maybe he's playing with me. But then he says something else to me. He goes, dog, it's still fucking hot in here. And I go, well, then I don't know what to tell you. And he's moving the table. And I'm going, why are you moving the table? He goes, I'm thinking of laying down over here. Didn't you lay down on the couch for a minute?
Yeah.
He laid down on the couch. I'm like, oh, no. But again, I'm not tripping, so I'm tired. I go home. Again, I told you motherfuckers, I go home. I put the TV on. I drink some water. I call him back to check up on him. And now he tells me he's got his shirt off, which to me is hysterical, right? He's got his shirt off, he's got his shoes off, his socks off. He's in the office here, and God knows what he's thinking about. Were you tripping at that point?
Okay, so here's the thing. What do you mean tripping?
Were you seeing things? Were you hearing voices?
No, I've never... The most I've ever tripped was on one of those times with the blotter. And, like, my keyboard, the keys started floating away. But I didn't trip like that this time. What you said at the beginning about people with fear, at that point, what for me was fear. Because it's, like, I'm not, like, what I kept thinking was, like, I'm not supposed to be doing this. Like, I'm a kid who grew up in suburbia.
Didn't I tell you were thinking that?
You kept telling me that. I wasn't thinking it at the point, but then
you're
when you
sitting there
left,
thinking, fucking, I went to Emerson.
not even
I
that.
got good friends. I got a degree. Why am I fucking doing acid with this fat fucking loser?
Not even that, just acid. And then I was actually a little annoyed with you that you left. I was like,
right. I remember because nothing was happening for me. I'm like, and I can't risk taking another one and being up all night and then having Mercy at 8 o'clock in the fucking morning yelling in my face. I mean, I could take care of anybody, but I couldn't risk taking another one. I didn't want to give you another one.
No, but there was nothing for you to do here. Like, that was the thing. There was nothing you were going to do, and I realized all this later. And I don't know, with you, does acid get you energetic? Is it like an upper?
Oh, it fucking picks everything up.
Okay, because yeah, I always walk around like a crazy person. I'm picking things up, I'm putting it down. It's really, I start organizing. I've organized.
When he talked to me, when he spoke to me and he told me that he had his shirt off, I got a little scared from him. I stayed up a little while longer. Now, I called back. And by this time, he's telling me this fucking story about that he got an Uber and a Mexican gangbanger showed up with a fucking crucifix on the dashboard, listening to Spanish music. It was supposed to be a 2007. What did he show up with?
97.
A 1997.
Easily, and it was like he was creeping up the road, like going, like, probably had his foot on the brake. He had music going, and it was the kind of leather where it really wasn't connected to the seat, whatever it was anymore. It was just kind of loosely there. And I just got in, and I shouldn't have gotten in, but as soon as I was like, this is not cool, man. And then I had already put my address in because I didn't want to talk to anybody. I was like, okay, I'll just put my address in. I'll go home. But then he's like, and then he kept asking me things, but
in Spanish.
Pretty much, man. He didn't speak English. I mean, I felt racist at the moment, man. Like, especially with acid, it makes you feel really, like, shitty about, like, bad things in your life. So I felt racist, but I was like, man, you need to at least be able to speak English, like, a little bit, like. And like, I just didn't feel comfortable with him knowing where I lived. Like, it was just, I didn't feel it. Just, I'm not a very streetwise person. I don't think I didn't.
Well, that was the acid, and you're also making you ultra paranoid.
Right, a little bit paranoid, but
but I could just imagine when you got into the car. It was like a scene from a fucking movie.
Oh my god.
So this happens. He gets in the fucking car and goes back to the train station.
Yeah, have him take 2 lefts and take me back to the train.
Then he gets attacked by a fucking hooker with a fur jacket on or something like that. What happened there?
Oh, so he let me off of the train, and there was this, like, wild pack of, like, the Warriors. It was like the black version of the Warriors, but they were just running around, and they were trying to find a street, and, like, half of the group wanted to go one way, half the group wanted to go the other way, and then I was just walking up a dirt path, and I was going to call another Uber, but I was like, first of all, I didn't want him to get the call, and I just didn't feel safe. So I was just walking in this, like, dirt path next to the train, and this, like, in my head was a hooker. It could not have been, but in my head she was wearing, like, a big fur coat, had, like, a big furry, like, something in front of her, like a big furry box or something. It was really weird.
Did she say something to you?
No, she like I was very nervous that she was gonna be like, want to party or whatever hookers say, and I was like, I don't want to talk to anybody right now.
And you just walked back to the office.
I just walked back to the office.
Now, when you got home, what happens now? What time is it? You did the acid here at 7 o'clock, 7:30.
Right.
What time was it when you got home?
Probably close to 1 o'clock, I
And
think.
what were you feeling at that point?
Still nervous, and real energetic. I was going around my house cleaning, but I would only clean like one thing. Like I would clean like one dish and then go clean something in the bedroom. I would bounce around my apartment. And
No voices, no music,
no
nothing. This was just speed catching you up.
Oh yeah. I listened to some podcasts, I think, for a little bit, and I tried to watch TV, but TV's always weird. The face is always, that's where I hallucinate. With TV, it's weird. The faces kind of get jumbled up, and like it always seems brighter. The contrast seems off.
And when you're seeing this, what are you thinking about all this?
It just with TV, it reminds me that I'm fucked up. I'm like, oh shit, I'm fucked up. Because when I'm nervous, I just try to convince myself I'm not that fucked up. I'm like, you'll be okay. You're not that fucked up. You're okay. You're okay. It's getting better. It's getting better.
Now, what time did you leave the house?
Okay, well, it got better around like 3, between like 3 and 4. Because just to be completely honest, I tried to rub one out for like an hour and a half. Like it just wouldn't.
You had dead dick.
Nothing.
Completely.
Nothing.
Your heart's beating.
Yeah, because I was
your
trying
palms are sweating. It's a horror show.
I was trying to go to bed, and when I couldn't go to bed, I was like, "Fuck, I'll stay up and clean." And I started to get less nervous. Like I think it calmed me down. Like it just got my brain off of it for a while, and I started having like really cool thoughts. I don't know. It was just like I just started like, and I even said at one point, I was like, "This is why you do it," because it's. I always ask you like at the end of the podcast when we're 17 bong hits in and 1,000 milligrams, I'm like, why are you still doing this? And like that's why in my head I'm like mad at you throughout the night. I'm like, this motherfucker gave me acid and left me alone, and now I'm freaking out and I'm not sleeping. And then I was like, oh, because you have these cool, like when you actually stop freaking out, you can have some really interesting conversations with yourself. And that's why I'm not really, and I've said it before, music for me I think would have taken me out of it. I like silence, especially with that sort of stuff. So I was just walking around cleaning, and I would just think about certain things, and I, for anyone watching live, I decided to shave my beard at like 7 in the morning, and I shaved my head again, but at like 6 o'clock is when I decided to leave. I was trying to go to bed again, and I couldn't sleep, and I was like, I need to go get some things, so might as well just go. The store's 24 hours, and it was great. I had so much fun. Like it was at a point where I could totally handle it.
And you were up all night.
Not a wink of sleep.
And you felt great.
Felt really energized, and I felt.
So what it hit you with a low dose, because you did feel weird and you did stay up and you did have dead dick.
Right, yeah.
It was just a low dose and a hallucinogenic, or you would just, next time we do it, we just take one big drop and run with it and stay here for a while and see how it feels. I'm sorry I left you. I just thought... No. And I don't... Listen, I've been left... Part of me, when we spoke the next morning, and you said to me you had a good time, I was going somewhere, or I had mercy. But for the rest of the day, I thought about our conversation, that A, you weren't mad, and B, you looked at it from a perspective from somewhere else. You started telling me that next time you wish you had a notebook. I hadn't said nothing to you about it. And then you said to me, now I know why you do this. It's been weird. The last time I did it was with you and Ari. And then before that, God knows when I did it before. Oh, I did it with Ari for Pink Floyd. And that was garbage. It was okay, but it wasn't. It was 3 hours. Did I appreciate it? Yeah. We did it in the office one night. You and I, without Ari, because we
Right.
did it twice.
Yeah.
That night, too. I was high till 2:30, and by 3:30 I was in bed. I appreciated that. You know, first off, I'm a bigger guy. Number two, my tolerance is off the fucking chains. It's even off the chains for the Oxycontins they gave me at the hospital. I had to call Talking Land, go, Talking Land, this ain't doing nothing to me. Nothing. He goes, chew them, whatever, nothing. Then one night I woke up twice with my fucking wrist hurting. I had 75 milligrams of that shit in me. So there's a lot of shit that don't do nothing to me. And so don't take it bad. It just doesn't. It's been years.
Oh no, I have no acid tolerance.
I'm going to say something now, and I'm going to get it out of the way with a lot of people, okay? I get busted. My balls get busted all the time because people say to me, when am I going to do DMT? Number one, look at my fucking face. Do I look like I need DMT? And number two, I'm too old. Number three, let me tell you why I didn't believe in DMT and none of the properties. Just to break myself down so people don't think I'm a fucking asshole. When a couple of weeks ago I was watching that Black Mass with Rusty Bulger, and there's one scene, whatever his name is, Whitey Bulger, and there's one scene where the guy is selling Whitey Bulger to the feds, and they say that he's a psychopath, not to mention that he did experimentation with acid, and the cop goes, yeah, 5 or 6 times, and the other cop goes, how about 50 times? And they all looked at each other like he was Charles fucking Manson. If I tell you something, I'm going to tell you guys a reaping discovery, okay? I didn't get into acid till the summer of my sophomore year. Like June of 78, after I hit the number, I used to run with this guy Lefty, and one night he gave me a hit of Microdot. And that shit had me going for fucking 18 hours, Lee. First couple times you did that shit, that rat poison that's in it, that shit keeps you up for fucking days. But since you're in training from the stars, thanks to me, that I'm a good nutrition, THC, whatever, and I watch your fucking coach, you didn't freak out. Number one, you weren't scared.
Well, I was at the beginning,
which helped. But let me tell you guys what happened. So that summer of 70 I get into Microdot acid, blotter acid. We didn't know what we were getting till Saturday. Everybody always had Microdot acid, but we were getting it. We get other shit, whatever the people were going to make, whether it was Microdot or four-way acid. Our town was flooded with it. There was like 3 different neighborhoods that sold that shit in North Bergen. You know, I got hooked on it until one day I started selling it. I started going to East Stroudsburg, and I've told this story thousands of times, and I became a business guy with this shit, and it's so weird that I started eating it since I was never a drinker, guys. My excuse for not drinking, like, you can't fucking drink and do acid. Like, I didn't like it at all because I liked the acid high so much with the marijuana. But, go ahead.
Oh no, because I was going to talk about that. I messed up. You kept asking me if I had weed at the house, and I didn't think about it. I actually had some stars and some capsules, so I took it around like 2 or 3, I think. And I think that might be what calmed me down.
Yeah, that takes a little edge off, absolutely. Which is smart. That's the way I've always given it to you. Every time we've had the mushrooms, was with the chocolate. With the fucking edible. Remember the edible, the mushroom chocolate edible we had? It was chocolate with edibles in it, wrapped around a mushroom. Mm-hmm. And it's always a little better than you said to me, next time I'll do it without the fucking edible. I'll just do it with the mushroom. And then I brought the mushrooms into the studio. So my point being that it was really weird. When my mom died and I would go home at night, I can't lie to you guys. I did acid maybe 5 nights a week for fucking 8 or 9 months. And then there was like another year where I did it maybe 3 nights a week. Because I had eaten it so much, I built such a fucking tolerance by the age of 16. Eating that Microdot. I would eat 3 of them when you would eat 1 of them.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
But one thing I gotta be honest with you, Lee, that you were honest with me about, that, you know what, man? Every time I got high on that shit, I took something positive of it.
Absolutely.
I took something positive from it. If there was something that was bothering me deep down inside, or something that had me all jammed up, I'd dedicate that hit of acid to that thought. And I'd go home. I couldn't wait to be alone. Because you can't go there with other people in the room. With other people in the room, it takes the acid somewhere else. You start talking about, look at the car, look at the lights. look at the steam from the fucking car, look at but if you're in somebody's house, you're watching a movie, you're freaking out other people's faces. It's when you get home and your surrounding environments that acid goes to work. See, when you do DMT, you're high for 8-9 minutes, and then there's like a fucking 3 or 4 hour after whatever. But the original warmth and the original patois is a 10-minute tops type of thing. With the acid, it comes and goes, and you have more time to spend with that warmth. I don't know. It's so tough to make people understand that. When I first heard what DMT was, I got it. I'm not putting it down from that perspective. I'm just putting up from a perspective that there's not much you can get from it. I'll give you a hit of acid where you trip for 12 hours, like when those guys go down to Peru and they eat that shit and they see the devil and shit. It's an 8-12 hour thing, because then it really breaks you down. If you came to me tomorrow and said, you know what, Joey, I love doing the podcast with you. I love eating fucking cake and donuts that Becky brings. But it's bothering me lately. I'm going to go to law school. I love Paula. I'm Jewish. What the fuck am I doing in the podcast business? Let me become an attorney, and I'll become a podcast attorney. You come to me one day and go, let me get the rest of that acid. And you probably eat it by yourself and rent a hotel room in North Hollywood, one of those fucking shitty hotel rooms. Take 2 joints with you, order a pizza, and just sit there for 8 hours and just think it over. That's what I used to do at that age, guys. I didn't take no ADD pill or Adderalls or I didn't take none of that stuff. I took Microdot fucking acid to make me focus on whatever I was going through. So I wouldn't, for a year I took acid at that age, just trying to figure out why God would take somebody's mother. Do you know how deep of a thought that is?
No, but did it freak you out, or were you able to just talk yourself through it? Because it didn't.
It's an hour of crying. It's an hour of laughing. It's an hour of hope that you give yourself in that 8-hour tripping. Remember, you take it at 8 o'clock at night. You start tripping at 9:30.
Okay.
You're with your friends till 12. You walk home. By the time you walk home, it's 1:45. You go in your house, you piss, you drink some water. You already smoked outside. Now when you sit out in the dark, you can actually feel it creeping on you. Once you're by yourself and there's no other energies in the room to take that energy away from you, you'll feel that acid creeping on you, Lee. And if you're dark, all of a sudden, once that acid taps into your breathing, once you start seeing the bottom of your eyes, you're hallucinating. Your eyes are wide open, right? It's catching fucking stimulation from everywhere. Now, once the bottom of your eye sees your stomach breathing heavy, that's when that fucking party starts. That's when that fucking party starts, Lee. And now you have to start breathing easier. You have to break out a joint, maybe eat a star and just sit and relax. And maybe get a piece of paper and pencil and close your eyes and lay down. Don't try to go to sleep, but don't try to do more.
I get sitting down, but I do my best thinking. Even now, when I'm like, I'll walk and pace around my apartment like a crazy person. So I would try to sit down that night, and look at me. I never have a problem laying down. I was up the whole night taking showers, cleaning. I don't know.
It's fun. I liked it.
Yeah, me too.
There was a period where I took acid just for that. Towards the end, I liked taking acid outside. I can't tell you how many nights I went out when I was 16 and 17 and took hits of Microdot and tripped our balls off walking the streets in alleys in the back ends of North Bergen between Kent. Oh my God. I can't fucking tell you how many nights just walking uphill on acid. Your heart's pumping up a storm. You're fucking stopping to get air and you trip and you all stand there for 7 minutes. Then you all look at each other and go, did you see that? Yeah. Come on, let's go. And you walk 10 more minutes and then you'd cease and then somebody would have to stop to breathe. It was just I'm happy that you looked at it from that experience. I was happy that you weren't mad at me, which I know you were for leaving you alone. But in the back of my mind, I left you alone so you could see what the fuck it really was.
By the time I called you the next morning, I wasn't, man.
And I was happy that you weren't fearful. It's so many people who have to go home and look it up on the website now. Nothing pisses me the fuck off. When I give somebody to somebody, when I give you a present, like a THC present or something, and people gotta give me some bullshit story that they got to go home and look it up online or something. I wouldn't give it to you to poison you. I give it to you because I love you. I give it to you because I want you to get to see the fucking devil.
You would give it to someone to poison them.
Well, no, I would never give somebody. I would never be in business to poison somebody. But that shit always fucking pisses me off. It always pisses me off when people call me and say, "Hey man, I'm thinking of doing mushrooms with my friends. How many do you think I should eat?" You know, I went online. What are you fucking talking about? This friend, how long have you been friends with him? Since grammar school. There's no trust. If he tells you to eat 3 stems, eat fucking 3 stems. First off, if you freak out, you ain't friends. I would tell Lee, listen, this is the first time I did mushrooms, so let's just do them tonight here, and don't tell nobody. And it's just me and you. And then I would do them, and I'd call you a week later and go, all right, you sure I won't feel creepy if I do this? And you'll go, no. And we'll go down to a bar and do the fucking mushrooms or the acid. Do you follow me? I would milk you through it slowly. I would never, the first time you did acid the other night, would I take you and take you to the Comedy Store.
Right.
You would have a nervous breakdown.